Thank you. The first frame. Jamie Clark to break.
First round action here at the Northern Ireland Open. The winner to play either Noppon Sankam or Tepshire and New, and it's Jamie Clark of Wales to get us underway against the former Northern Ireland Open champion, Mark Williams. And as Williams pointed out there, Neil, by picking up that bumper check as runner-up in Saudi Arabia of £200,000, the pressure's off for the rest of the season.
Yeah, it's an interesting way of looking at things. It was interesting to hear what he said. I guess if there is any sort of a downside to such a big prize, it does perhaps demotivate players that are in the final. Had he won it, it would have been even more so. There was some suggestion had he won that final, he mightn't have played in anything until he had to.
Jamie Clark.
But there you are. He's kind of already talked down his chance of playing well today, but I wouldn't necessarily back him up on that until we see it. We'll see how he plays. I'm sure he'll like to be the fellow Welshman here. You mentioned that the win of Jamie Clark, so if you remember the game, Philip, it was the match where he had food poisoning, didn't he, Mark Williams? And let's just say after about 3 shots of the match he had to dash off, and he dashed off a few times. We won't get any more into it than that, but he was unwell. And if you were watching the snooker that week in York, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about.
And that is not something you want to be afflicted with here at the Waterfront Hall, because it's a bit of a labyrinth behind the scenes, so you might never be seen again.
There's probably nowhere you would like to be afflicted with it, but I get your point. He had a free ball there, and he could have taken the yellow, and there would have been 16 reds on the table, but he chose not to. This is Mark's idea of the shot, one-handed. I don't quite know why that's better, although he did hit it at least on that attempt.
Yeah, we've seen this one-handed sort of escape from Williams quite a few times in the past. He likes to do things his own way. For quite a while he was employing the defensive break, just rolling into the bunch of reds. He was pretty stubborn about that tactic for quite some time. Ploughs his own furrow, but you can't question his achievements in the game. One of the greats, without a doubt. Former champion here, of course, 2017, when he beat Yan Bingtao in a decider. And that was the precursor for his 3rd World Championship the following spring. But that's a mistake.
Yeah, it's not a good shot. You'll know that because he went into the bunch, and a player of his experience will know already there's every chance of it going close to a pocket, and it did. Jamie Clark is a very fierce competitor, and he wouldn't rule out a win here. He won't be going into a match like this thinking he can't beat Mark Williams, because I don't think he fears anybody. He tries very hard, and he needs to ensure that he improves on his world ranking of 60. I think he's a slightly better player than that.
Yes, that's his provisional end-of-season ranking as well, so he'll be mindful of the need to pick up some points with his tour position in mind. Of course, he did make the 2nd round at the World Championship a couple of years ago. Beat Mark Allen famously in the 1st round, who made 5 centuries but still lost the match. And then, of course, was engaged in that feisty encounter with Anthony McGill in the 2nd round when he led 8-2 before losing in a decider.
7.
Yeah, of course, that was the lockdown championship, wasn't it? Played in the summer, and that was when they started the rule that if you're off the tour and you got to the Crucible, you would get a tour card. And the reason that rule came about is because the Q school was happening at the same time, so you could get to the Crucible, lose, not be on the tour, and not have a chance to play in Q School to get back on. So he benefited there, and the rule still is ongoing. Of course, 2020 was things were very different. In all sports, everything was hastily rearranged.
Cheers. 40.
But like I say, he won't be too worried about what Mark Williams said, or, you know, that he doesn't think he'll play well. He'll treat this as the most important match he's ever played, because he is that type. Jamie Clark, likeable, quite an aggressive player, but a fierce competitor, as I mentioned.
He's never done better than a round of 64 in this tournament, so he's looking to break new ground. Indeed, he lost his first 9 matches in the Home Nation Series. His one standout performance last season came at the UK Championship. He made the last 16, came through qualifying, he beat Jordan Brown. He beat Dave Gilbert and world champion Kyron Wilson in deciders before losing narrowly to his opponent today, 6-4. So he is very capable. Seems to raise his game against the best players.
He's on that red he's closest to. He might be on that. I can't imagine he played onto that red from the previous shot on the green, but that's where he's landed. Big gap through to the pocket for that red.
He's
got quite a lot of cue power as well, from a fairly shortish backswing. You know, he gets through the ball and he can get the ball zipping around, and we did see it in that Lockdown Championship where he had that brilliant win against Mark Allen, who made a barrage of breaks but still lost to him. Goodness me. Oh dear. There's more balls moved there than didn't.
Jeremy Clark, 24.
He used a lot of force on it, and as you saw, it lost its accuracy quite markedly there. It's one of these shots, if you're played, you wouldn't like to see that replay, but we are watching it, and the ball's going in all directions.
Amazingly, the blue nearly ended up back on its spot as a result of that miss. The winner, as mentioned, plays either Noppon Sankam or Tepchairan Nu, who beat Jamie Clark in his only ranking semi-final. That was the shootout back in 2019. In fact, Jamie didn't get a look in that match. It was a 1-3-9 break from Tepchairan on his way to the title that year. Here's Noppon. You can watch it on Discovery Plus, of course, Table 2.
Well, that was a little fortunate there. He got a double kiss, as you saw. I suppose you have to mention Mark Williams' cue, because he changed it for reasons I can't fathom, actually, after the Saudi match, which he lost so narrowly on the last black match that was worth $500,000 to the winner.
Thank you.
I don't know whether Williams is contracted to use a different cue. That might explain it. It might be all about the money. But I can't think what could have been wrong with his other cue. He was one shot away from landing the prize.
Yeah, I mean, it took one of the great clearances of all time to deny him, didn't it? On the final black from Trump, that 72 was incredible. Otherwise, it would have been $500,000. 200,000, pretty good going, though. And as he mentioned himself, it means it's relieved all the pressure in terms of being in the Players' Series events in the new year. Champion of Champions is taken care of course. 2 big titles for Williams last season. The British Open and the Tour Championship, and he played brilliantly to beat O'Sullivan 10-5. A player he hasn't had a great deal of success against down the years.
Goodness. Oh, that's another mistake. I don't quite know if he's left anything particularly easy. Red to middle, maybe.
One. Six. Seven. Fourteen.
Now, he might try and move the red and the pink here. Certainly, you don't know where the break's going if he doesn't get something in play. So it might be a question of just flicking the red and the pink from this shot.
15.
He's done it without any great success. He's horribly placed on the black. He's a terrific putter of a ball, but I mean, this is really quite an unpleasant shot to have to play here over the red. Even for someone as good as Williams, it was a bridge too far.
Williams 15.
It wasn't the most inspiring visit, that was it? Yes, at an awkward table, but he did kind of talk his chances down, and he doesn't look razor sharp in the small sample size we've seen.
Yes, Williams is third on the one-year list with that bumper paycheck in Saudi. Only Kyron Wilson and Judd Trump, who of course won that tournament, are ahead of him. He stated last season that his primary goal was to remain in the top 16 by the time he turned 50, which happens next spring. He's certainly very much on track to achieve that. Currently ranked at 7 in the world. Second oldest winner of a ranking event after the late, great Ray Reardon.
Mark Williams.
Played an odd shot on the red, didn't he? And just topped the cue ball, it went nowhere.
It's another one of those frames that would appear is going to take a lot of sorting out. We saw many of them yesterday, particularly in the match between Jimmy White and Hossein Bafai. Great win for the Whirlwind, of course.
Wasn't much of a shot again, so it's not a good start. I mean, I have a huge amount of respect for Mark, a fantastic player, but if you were following him this week and supporting him, you wouldn't be thrilled with his start to this frame.
One. Yeah.
Yes, since that run to the final in Saudi Arabia, Williams has lost in round 2 of the English Open to Ben Wollaston 4-1, and then the British Open, where he lost to Rory Thor as defending champion by the same score. Very scrappy fair in this opening frame. Still a possible 67 points available.
Jimmy Clark, one. One.
And once again with Williams, you'll hear the noise his cue
8.
tip makes when it strikes the cue ball, and it doesn't. It's not the sweetest sound I've ever heard a ball hitting being hit with a cue.
9.
Very tinny. So again, safe. He's playing here. Bringing
Mark Williams,
the
9.
yellow into play probably helps him if he gets a good shot here, and he has. Taking the yellow out off the cushion, that works in Mark's favour.
They're already close to finishing 3 frames next door. Tepchara and Nu poised for a 2-1 lead over Noppon Sankam, the respective winners to play in the round of 32. Sankam with a break of 66 in the first. Tepchara with 68 in the second. He's at the table on a 62 break. You can watch that on Discovery Plus. That's a good pot from Jamie Clark, who's a former Welsh amateur champion, beating Darren Morgan and Mark Williams coach Lee Walker on his way to that title a decade ago.
It's another tough one though, this, isn't it? Rolling it in, doing nothing with the cue ball except concentrating on the pot. Well played.
Thanks.
Yeah, it was thin, and he's just caught the near knuckle, so that could be costly. Oh, goodness. Well, that's a surprise.
Cheers, man. Thank you.
Big let-off there for Jamie Clark. You would have expected Williams to sink that one.
Yeah, can he get through to pot it now? Jamie Clark is the question. No, not directly. It's all happening in this little corner of the table, isn't it? What are you doing here? It's almost like watching billiards or something, a little cannon or something. You might have to play cushion first. Or a swerve, a little swerve on Massey. They are the options anyway. As we saw yesterday, Snooker can throw up some, you know, unusual things. I always think about the players, the practice routines they do. They take the long straight shots on and do the line-up, practice certain cueing shots, then you're faced with something like this that you would never practice. Probably feels a bit unlucky that he was left with that shot. He's getting a spider out, reaching across. None of it looks very comfortable, but the pot's unmissable, so that helps. Just skin the cue ball out for the colour is the aim here.
Cheers, man. Thank you.
I don't think he played on the pink, you know. I reckon he played on the black. That's
What?
why he looked a little bit baffled. The cloth is playing beautifully, everyone is saying, and the bed of the table is quick. Caught him out there, I think.
Seven. Eight.
Williams has always been one of the great break builders. He might have had a lot more than the 646 career centuries he's amassed had he been more bothered about making them during a certain phase of his career, but he's also always been adept at winning scrappy frames, more than his share.
30.
This has certainly not been much of a spectacle, this opening frame, but of course carries equal importance to all the others made with big breaks, and Williams at the moment in pole position to take it.
15. Thank you.
He couldn't have finished better on it. Yes, it's still missable. He will have to play it with a degree of pace. But it was quite well judged on the yellow. Well, if he was going to get on the brown, he'd have played with a degree of pace, but he just decided to take on a difficult brown. And this is difficult. Great shot, though.
22.
That was very good. He would like to have got on the brown a little closer than he did, clearly.
Jamie Clark had a couple of chances himself. He missed the blue when he was using pace to go into the reds by a margin. Williams was perhaps a little lucky not to leave him something simpler into this pocket when he missed, but
33.
That was an excellent brown. That was the shot of the frame, without a doubt. Effectively a frame winner for Mark Williams. And so he takes a 25-minute opener to lead by a frame to nil.
The second frame. Mark Williams to break.
Mark Williams clinching a scrappy opening frame on the colours, an excellent pot on the brown, a very missable one to the right centre. After a bitty frame, but as mentioned, Williams has specialised in winning those down the years, along with the big breaks he's made.
Well, that's what you call opening the reds up. It was off a red, which is sometimes people have said you never move a ball off a red, but I mean the cue ball has fizzed away and arced off into the distance. But so many reds moved that you could probably watch that 5 times and see something different every time on that shot. So whether he's sort of hoodwinked us into thinking he's not playing well, he did sort of
5.
get frame 1 delivered, but he would probably need to stand up and play a little better since then, you know, for the rest of the match. And that ball to open the bunch up, goodness. And the good news for him is that the black, albeit a little tied up, has not been completely covered by reds.
Six. Eleven. Well,
it's nice to get the pink back onto its spot, I suppose. The trouble is that the line from the pink down to the reds, the blue is kind of obscuring it, so he's just trying to work out how he could get position on red from the pink. The man behind him, Tepchara, knew would have played his shot by now, I can tell you. He's one of the quickest players I've ever seen.
$80. 90. 26. 27.
Well, that's absolutely clearing everything now. And he could not have hit that opening red any better into the bunch. Just went in all directions.
35.
Good shot. I mean, look at the way all those reds moved.
$43.
Couldn't be more of a contrast, really, than the first frame where the reds got bunched up in awkward spots along the right-hand side of the table as we look, but Williams determined to get things open, and he did so, to put it mildly. Absolutely obliterated the reds, and it could well be a shot that goes on to win him the frame.
Didn't play that shot well, though, did he? I mean, neither one thing nor the other. He could have just held for the black, or he played to screw for the blue, but didn't get anything on it. And now he's right between two shots here. It was not a particularly good delivery of the cue on that previous shot. He doesn't want to be playing this black, and it is missable. That's a great shot, though. What a terrific recovery that is.
58.
Clearly pressure on it, knowing he was leaving Clark a very presentable counter-attack opportunity if he'd missed. So a red in any colour for a quick-fire kill in this second frame for the former champion here in Belfast.
$67.
Very good. It's a lot more like it from Williams.
74.
I didn't know how he would play. I mean, as I say, the first couple of matches we saw him with this new cue, he didn't play very well at all. Did get his qualifier one for the international, but barring
Mark Williams,
Snooker's kind of extended his lead here, Jamie Clark probably obliged to come back to the table, because with two Snookers you never know until you try, but otherwise it'll be 2-0.
What? 8. Nine.
Gone a bit too far himself. He'd like to take it down, of course, to as few reds as possible,
50.
preferably one, before attempting the snookers. As I say, you feel like you should carry on sometimes, even though you don't always want to. Got to show a bit of willing out there. But
Jamie Clark, 50.
the next ball that's polled by Williams will spell the end of the frame, because Jamie, I don't think, really wants to, or fancies getting this frame won somehow. Understandably.
One.
So it's 2-0, and Williams still finding his feet. You get the feeling. But we've had it before with the British Open a couple of times, haven't we, where he's turned up suntanned late summer because he's been playing golf. You think, well, he's not going to win this week, and as the week goes on, he starts to play better. So we're not ruling anything out.
Matt Williams, 5 and the frame.
And he was able to bust the pack of reds wide open at the start of that frame, and he made the most of it with a break of 74. Jamie Clark couldn't get the snookers that he needed, and so Williams leads by 2 frames to 0.
Jamie Clark to break.
Jamie Clark breaking off in frame 3, sat out most of the second frame. He came back to the table, but it was always going to be a tall order after Williams' quick fire 74. You're never out of a best of 7, even at 3-0 down, as David Grace proved earlier against Kyron Wilson on this table. Kyron dominated the first 3 frames, and it looked like it could be over in an hour. As it turned out, it was quite a battle. Wilson coming through in a final frame, so Clark far from out of it, but this frame feels big for him.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose you could make excuses for the one time Jamie Clark won. That I mentioned earlier on when Mark Williams had the food poisoning in York. But actually, when he was out there and not in the bathroom, he actually played some good stuff, Williams. He was beaten by the better player, I think, on that occasion, despite everything that had happened.
Nothing better than a last 32 for Clark so far this season. That was in Wuhan, where he actually got a walkover into round 3 with Mark Allen withdrawing from the tournament because his mum was poorly. Lost to Wu Yiza in a decider in that event. But he will be playing Clark at the International Championship, and of course that's a big money tournament coming up here on Eurosport early next month.
Well,
Nicely done. His move is going to have to come quickly. I mean, we saw previously Karen Wilson looked to be cruising at 3-0 against David Grace, but in these fairly short form matches, 3-0 up, you've not won anything. So 2-0 is certainly a scoreline you can come back from. He hasn't really played very well himself yet. First frame he had a couple of chances, not so many in the second frame. Now what's he going to do here? I mean, I don't know if he can swing the cue ball round 2 cushions into the bunch. The right hand red is... It's not in the way. It's a bit of a distraction, though. You could hit it, but by accident playing the attempted opening of the bunch. Oh, he deserves to be on one there. That's a crunchingly good shot. Really well played. So he's missed the right hand red, and these reds scattered. Got to cue awkwardly for the red to middle, but he deserves something good to happen for that last shot.
Very uncomfortable cueing. Delicate touch required here, but inevitably that cluster of reds that he's having to bridge over is a distraction. Well played, that was a better shot than it looked.
Yeah, and also playing it so slowly. I think that easily put a bit of side on against the nap and it could throw it offline, so it was a good shot. Kind of just went through these. He's left himself quite a good red to get on the black from, but the red is missable down the cushion. Nicely done. Very good. So he's still got the reds not in sort of perfect positions. They're out in the middle of the table, but all seemingly blocking each other off somewhat. Not going to be easy to continue with this break. Oh, it's not a good shot this time. Would you say he looks as confident as I've seen him on other occasions out there? It's the sort of sport you can have somewhat of a crisis of confidence. Or you're not maybe often get your usual rhythm together, but right now it's not all there.
And that's possibly born of a lack of confidence right now. As mentioned, his results of late have been largely indifferent. Just that one good run last season to the last 16 of the UK Championship, where he lost to Williams, but not much else to write home about aside from that. And likewise, this season, it's been quiet so far. Wow, as he just covered the red to the right corner, having crashed into the blue, which wasn't part of the plan. Can he get through?
That little nudge on the blue has helped, sending the cue ball across. He might have been able to cut in a very thin red otherwise, Williams, but now there's no such option. Well, he looked at those three reds and at first thought he was going to play the safe off of those, and then you realise what he did try, but even though he looked at them closely, he has left one over the pocket. Wanted to push this red onto them and hoped it would all go safe. Well, it's not the red, clearly. You can see that he can get through to it, but he's just thinking he's got the blue right up the other end of the table, but he wants something else than that. He's got a choice here, because if you play this with a lot of topspin, cue ball's not really going to go very far, because the spin kind of traps the ball in that corner of the table, so he might go low on the cue ball. So you see him going lower, because the spin actually works in his favour that way. Played a three-ball plant as well, goodness me. Terrific shot that was.
Seven. Cheers, Mark. Thank you. 8.
Same problem really on the blue, to get topspin on this, and it doesn't necessarily go very far. So it's far from a promising leave, this. You see him going low on the ball again. That's quite a good shot to get there from that shot. Sometimes, as I say, put topspin on, you never get the cue ball out of the bulk area, but he's done it.
It's not all that often that you see Williams employing a lot of pace. He's so good at floating them in.
14.
Putting a bit of mileage on the cue ball at this visit.
Would he feel confident enough to take the blue on? You know, when he's playing well, he'll knock this in all day long, but there must be some doubt about it. The green is not helping. So close to the cue ball, it's a distraction. It's kind of a fair enough indication, that shot, of how Williams is cueing, because, like I say, a good Williams will just devour those sort of shots.
One. Jeremy Clark.
The black eludes him, but happily for him, it's gone safe. Another one of those rather bitty frames after Williams took care of the second in no time. 15 between them. Ball's awkward again.
Quite well played. You felt there was a bit of frustration in the way he played that shot, but he did steer the cue ball back down.
Nopon Sankam having won the fourth frame on the black to tie it up with 2-all against Tepchira Nu on table 2, is now well in front in the fifth.
Nice shot, but there is a path through to one red. He's got an answer to most things, hasn't he, Williams, when it comes to defensive play, when he wants to use his snooker brain, which is a very sharp one over a number of years. knows when he doesn't have to attack and can do something more meaningful.
Sandkamp has taken that fifth frame, by the way, to lead Tepchire 3-2. Of course, he was runner-up in the Home Nations last season, nop on to Gary Wilson in the Scottish Open. Picked up that handy £50,000 bonus in Saudi Arabia for a maximum as well. Close.
Yeah, he knew straight away that he'd done that. Hitting the jaw of the middle pocket, misjudging the safety angle. Not getting much in the way of a read from him, are you, as to how he's feeling out there, Williams?
What?
Good pot, that one.
I think Clark maybe just querying whether the scoreboard was correct there, but he's 16 in front. Huge frame for him if he can win it. Williams hasn't pulled up any trees as yet. He's back in the match.
So the fact that he slowed up.
Full.
He's not on the red he wanted to be on. The other red that he's closest to is in the way, so I don't know if he's got any thoughts on playing a plant that takes a cue ball away from the reds. I think he might as well play it, but it's a horribly difficult one. You're not favourites not to knock these in, I don't think.
Jeremy Clark, full.
Yeah, these are little exchanges, aren't they? They don't seem much, but Williams a few behind will have hopes of winning this frame, and you know, he seems to be just ticking over. But
Yeah, thanks.
It's just a question of if he can get a couple of these reds into play, another chance might bring him right back into the frame. He's offered Rob Spencer a look at where the cue ball is, so if ever needed replacement, he could put it back, and you can just see the edge of that red is the point he was making. And that's why he showed him it, because he knew there was a chance it would go back, and now
Jamie Clark.
so I said, well, make sure you put it back where it was, and I can see it again. Played with left-hand side there, just trying to bend it back in towards the red, but didn't get enough on. This is a hard replacement, this really tough one for Rob Spencer.
Right, okay. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, just have a look now. Yeah, Jamie? Yeah, thanks.
So it's all been resolved, but the shot still remains quite difficult. This is what he's using, this different cue, and he's using left-hand side, and it pushes immediately away to the right.
Jamie Clark,
This time giving 7 away.
Yeah. I'll have to do the black. Nico, can you just do it for the black for me, because it's the effective ball, please? Just a touch.
Yeah, I mean, as you heard there, the black
How does that look?
was just moved.
Well, the black was what was stopping you from hitting the red. All right, okay, all right.
He's saying the black's irrelevant because he's not going to play the same shot again, basically. He's going to get warned for the 3 strikes.
Yeah, thanks, Nico. Thank you, man.
He's warned himself, basically,
I'm this as a result of the stroke. I want the frame to your opponent. Okay, thank you.
in all the hubbub. He forgot the warning. Look for the referees to think about. They've got to watch everything, haven't they? As we saw yesterday.
Well, he slooped the red, held his hand up, and he's nicely on the blue, so that was a productive shot for Jamie Clark. Eking out a handy lead here, given that the table remains quite awkward. Red's in difficult spots, 31 in front, 39 with the blue. He doesn't care how he wins this frame, and again, it's not been pretty, but if he can clinch it, then he's got a foothold in this match. Gives him a realistic chance of victory. 3-0 behind, it would be very difficult.
Cheers, Jamie, thank you. 7.
Yeah, so he will need another red. And any colour. Now he's playing the blue anyway. Well, that'll do nicely. So it'll be 43 if he
12.
pots this red, albeit it's not a simple one. Anything else on top means Williams needs snookers. Yes, he hasn't played well, has he? It's true. As you pointed out, he's got to try and get a frame one. It doesn't matter how he does it, because he's just not really contributing a huge amount at this stage to the whole game.
Another lengthy frame. In fact, it's eclipsed the first, which was nearly 26 minutes, now into our 29th in this one. A vital one for Clark. He's had a chance. Go begging just now. And that could be expensive. It's a chance at least for Williams to get back into this frame.
Yeah, I mean, with Mark Williams, he would never write him off. It doesn't look a very promising table, really, but you know, he's been a great shot maker over the years, and you could never say that he wouldn't win the frame here. The problem we would have, of course, is the safe red, and if the black was on its spot, that red at the bottom of the table would be a little easier to get on. But he couldn't get on the black there. Put it back on its own spot. This was the error.
Eights.
Has he got any hopes to even move the red out here, perhaps? Just playing to roll it down the cushion. Gonna have to go in or
40.
probably end of frame, but the other thing he could do, of course, is not go for it at all. If he does go for it, I can't see they'd be hitting it very firmly. Oh, great shot.
15.
Stroked it in. Now all of a sudden, that's the point I was making. The red looked really difficult to get on the colour, but he couldn't have been more accurate with that. And now it is on, this clearance. From nowhere, he sort of sprung into life here, isn't he?
Yeah, he conjured that one excellent pot in the first frame on the brown after a very scrappy affair, and this has been a similar sort of story, but what a pot that was. And this is really going to sting Jamie Clark if Williams mops up here. Should have won this frame.
21.
It's been in front throughout, had the chance just now, missed the red to the right corner when any other ball to follow would have been enough for 2-1. Then he's back in the match. Now he's at the mercy of the 3 times world champion.
Just wanted on that yellow not to... I mean, he had to hit the black ball. Well, he didn't want to push it on the cushion, obviously. It's the last thing he needed. Because pink to black is not a simple shot. Yes, it could end up that he gets right behind the black and it won't be too bad at all. He's still going to make it happen.
$33. $39.
So this black for a very significant steal for Mark Williams. And in it goes, and what a clearance that was, a reminder of his world class. It was looking like Jamie Clark was halving the deficit. Instead, he's staring down the barrel at 3-0. Mark Williams, courtesy of a really classy clearance, in complete control now here on the 3rd afternoon of the Northern Ireland Open. The champion back in 2017, leading Jamie Clark 3-0, and I'm sure Clark will be wondering how He's not won that bitty third frame, but it was a tremendous shot along the rail from Williams to set up the clearance after Clark had effectively had frame ball come and go. A cut back red into the right corner with a colour, all he then needed to clinch the frame and put him within a frame. Now he's got to win 4 in a row. Tall order indeed. That's a good start though. Excellent long red. It's not as though he's been comprehensively outplayed this afternoon by any stretch. Could have done with that cue ball pulling up a little. Tends to be the way when you're struggling. Looking to make something happen, but he's missed a very difficult blue and he's left a chance for Williams. Very frustrating afternoon for the world number 60 at the moment. Made worse by the fact that having missed the blue, it then careered into the reds, opened them up for Williams.
Sam. Eights. Forty. $50.
Still a bit congested around the high value colours, with the blue where it is and black only seemingly going in one pocket.
22.
But I think the message you're probably getting if you're Mark Williams is that he get himself a few in front here and it'll be a 4-0 job, because Jeremy Clark has not played all that well. Williams has played well when it mattered, I think would be the best way to describe this match. Played all the important shots well, not so much the rest of it. Jamie, though, has not really turned up today yet. It's getting a little bit late in the day to turn things around also.
Clark's pot success down at 72%.
29.
Williams now into the 90s. The last frame was huge, wasn't it? He played a really good shot to open the reds, and he only really needed that one red with a colour, almost a formality, but unhappily for him it stayed out, and Williams conjured that excellent clearance.
Yes, all he could do with that small angle on the pink to shift 2 or 3 reds. He couldn't do much else. I don't think he feels he can take this break much further unless he takes this red on down the table. That's the only way. He's very good at those shots. The sighting method he uses with his coach Lee Walker. He seems to have a really good strike rate on shots like that. Just locating the correct angle to hit the object ball at. Cue ball ran a bit awkwardly. Yeah, he's going to just draw stumps on this break for now. And that's a good way for it to end. Yes, he could have made more, but he seems to be holding all the aces at the moment.
And there's another example of that feather-like touch Williams can employ when he's just dribbling up to a baulk colour for the snooker. No one does that better than him. Things are getting a bit desperate now for Jamie Clark. Still, I'm sure, reflecting on what might have been in that third frame.
Yeah, I think there was a bit of a hit and hope, but there wasn't really a red he could lay up to, in fairness. It was a little bit more to it than just that. See, they're the shots that he's not really getting at the moment with the different cue, I think. And what I've seen anyway, I mean, he might be practicing knocking everything in, but where he's got to use a bit more force, he's just not quite getting through it as intended. He nearly fluked it, of course, in the same pocket.
Thank you. Go on, you're right. What?
It's going from bad to worse for Jamie Clark.
Jamie Clark won.
The reprieve proving very brief. But at least from his point of view, he hasn't left a red, which he might have done.
A very difficult shot, wasn't it? It's just not happening. He just isn't really finding any rhythm at all. Yes, it's a hard shot. He's over the top of the yellow, for goodness sake. It's not nice, but worse still, he got close enough for the red to be left over the pocket, although Williams still misses probably the easiest one of the whole lot there. Well, that was an attempt to get the cue ball down the other end and pot the red. The red missed by an absolute mile.
What?
Excellent shot. And I think with Williams, he's always had the same mentality. Why delay getting this win? He saw the plant there and he just made it into a dead plant. It was right side of the pocket as we first looked.
Three. Four.
It's not a huge lead, but it just feels like one, doesn't it? This possible 67 on the table as things stand if Jamie Clark come back to it. He's just about to go 44 behind. And Williams isn't quite over the line. He can certainly put the match away soon. Clark has offered nothing really today by way of resistance.
10.
You see the scoreline, if it does go 4-0, you think, well, that's a fine win. It doesn't quite tell the full story of what this match has been like.
Two very scrappy frames, but Mark Williams able to raise his game when required to win both of them. Just the one real break of substance, the 74 in the second from Williams when he was able to split the reds all over the shot.
80.
But undoubtedly the match turned decisively his way, it would seem, in pinching the previous frame when Clark missed the cutback red when he was on the brink of closing to 2-1 behind, and then it's a different match. But it's now surely over. This red to make absolutely sure. Already a couple of snookers needed for Jamie Clark.
25.
Williams was pretty downbeat in his chat with Alan ahead of this match about the state of his game. He's been playing Chinese pool rather more than he's been playing snooker since that very near miss in Saudi Arabia, which nevertheless netted him 200,000 points and set up his season. He's been quiet since then on the snooker table. And he can clearly play a whole lot better than he has today, but in the early rounds it's about moving through, and he's certainly done that.
Yeah, he'll need to play better, but he'll worry about that as and when the matches come along. And we know, as I mentioned earlier, with how he's played in the British Open a couple of times by winning it, he's almost played himself into form over the week. He might have to do the same.
And a couple of pots stand out. The brown in the opening frame, which was missable, into the right centre. And then the brilliant pot along the rail to set up the clearance in that third frame. That really broke the back of the match for Williams.
$53. $57.
And finishing with his second half century.
$62.
He'll celebrate his 50th birthday next spring.
68.
He's still in the top 8 in the world. What a career. And what an emphatic finish. An efficient afternoon snooker from the former Northern Ireland Open champion, Mark Williams. It was a day to forget for Jamie Clark, who never gained any traction in the match. He missed that chance in frame 3. That was key. But Williams moved through in pretty serene fashion here at the Waterfront Hall without dropping a frame. Williams, a 4-0 winner.